What's up, YouTube? You know what time it is. It's MightyFan time, and it's actually a pickup video. I know in my last video I said I'd have another one pretty soon, and that is today. So I'm just waiting for the one to come in the mail. It actually came in the mail late last week. I just didn't get around to making the video till today, which is Monday. That all being said, it is actually a theme video because I have two jerseys to show, and they're both representing my home state of Pennsylvania, the two professional baseball teams in Pennsylvania, my hometown Phillies, of course, my favorite team, and also the team in Western PA, the Pittsburgh Pirates. You see I have the Pirates represented up here hanging behind me today. I have the Roberto Clemente circa 1971 Mitchell & Ness jersey. In the background, one of my favorite jerseys in the collection because I'm a big, have a lot of respect for Roberto Clemente as a ball player and, of course, as a human being as well, the great person that he was. And so, yeah, definitely one of the favorites in my collection. And so, without further ado, let's get right to the merchandise. First one, speaking of those Pittsburgh Pirates, I'm going to go with the Pirates throwback. The one that just recently came in the mail. This is, I mean, we all know this about collecting. I mean, there's peaks and valleys, right? Peaks and valleys. So, in the past month or so, I've been able to knock off three of my all-time, most wanted baseball grails. Of course, the Mitchell & Ness 1981 Dale Murphy powder blue Braves jersey. I got the home white 1974 Reggie Jackson Oakland A's, and now I got this one. And the theme of those is, yes, they're of course Mitchell & Ness throwback jerseys, but also the fact is they're all pullover jerseys. And I've said this before, a big fan of the pullovers from the 70s and early 90s, big fan of those. And I'm also a big fan of not only the powder blues, but a big fan of road gray jerseys. I've always said this, and to those of you who are new to my channel, I'll say it again, I'm a big fan of road gray throwback baseball jerseys. I have yet to get any flannels in the collection. I know, Tim, I know, but they're coming. Don't worry. But I do have plenty of I almost said flannel. I do have plenty of road gray throwback baseball jerseys and current baseball jerseys because I really like them. I mean, they really, when you see them, the fonts and the colors of the fonts and the letters really kind of stand out with them. And this is another example of one. And this is a circa 1990 Pittsburgh Pirates road gray. And you notice what I mean. Look at the font on there. I mean, the colors, it's just that gray backdrop just really, shows them that much more. And yes, it looks nice on the home whites and even on the other colors like powder blue or whatever. But just those road grays just really stand out even more, in my opinion. This one is older Made in USA for Barry Bonds. I know there's a lot of Barry Bonds haters out there, and that's fine. I mean, yeah, we all know the reasons, but back in the day, he was a terrific player. I mean, he had a terrific career. But back in the day, I mean, in his days with the Pirates, in his, early days with the Pittsburgh Pirates, he was like rail thin. He was a real lanky guy. And certainly not what he ended up looking like at the end of his career. But he could do it all back then. And in his early years with the Giants too. I mean, he could do it all. He was a terrific player in all aspects of the game. And in fact, in his early days with Pittsburgh, there was some comparisons to Mr. Clemente because, like Clemente, Barry Bonds kind of did it all, in the field and all, both, in the field or at the plate. So, and running the bases. So, just, look up old footage. If you don't take my word for it, look up old footage on YouTube or wherever. Just look up Barry Bonds, Pittsburgh Pirates footage, and you'll see what I mean. It was a highlight reel every time he stepped on the field. But then, of course, later in his career, he became a little more home run happy. But that being said, yes, I've been looking for this for a while because I really like this style jersey. That the Pirates wore back in the day. Of course, the pullover and that Pittsburgh is just bananas right there on the front. That scripted font, just really nice. 24, kind of big and bold on the front there too, and it's got the trim. And I've always said this about pullovers, and I always will. One of the things I love about them is the sleeve. Look at that yoke sleeve right there. Right there. Now, this is an older Made in USA jersey, and like the Dale Murphy that I have, it's light in material. Sometimes you get those older jerseys, they can be pretty heavy. For instance, the Reggie Jackson that I just got, it's a pretty heavy jersey. Of course, made in El Salvador, but it's pretty heavy. It definitely has some weight to it. But for this time of year, the lighter the better sometimes. So, not to say I won't wear that Reggie Jackson this time of year. I will wear it. But yeah. Now let me show you the back, and I want to talk a little about the back of this jersey. Now you notice it has the Bonds 24 in the back, and for all the the Mitchell and Ness heads out there, I know what you're saying. Well, but it didn't have the name on the back of the Mitchell and Ness version. That's correct. There was a time some years ago when Mitchell and Ness was making their throwback baseball jerseys. Some of them, even though the player, Mitchell and Ness, they try to emulate the jersey as much as they can, so it's almost like you're getting it off the player's back, or basically you're wearing what the player wore. They're trying to they try to make them as detailed as the players wore them back in the day. And there was a time. Now some people can argue with that. Obviously some of the newer jerseys have come under some fire from the members of Jersey Central, and there's reasons for that. Obviously, I know in recent years that maybe they have cut some corners and stuff, but I mean, what can you do? That's industry anymore, it seems. It's a shame, but that all being said, there was a time that Mitchell and Ness made some baseball jerseys without the names on the back. I don't really know exactly what goes into the licensing rights and everything of how they can make, like, say, this Roberto Clemente jersey. I really don't know. I'm not as in the know with that. But I know that they've kind of reissued some of these jerseys with the names on the back, which is kind of interesting. For instance, the Mets, the 1980s Mets they made back in the day without the names, and then they kind of reissued them with the names a few years ago. I know they did that for the Phillies. There were some Phillies they still haven't reissued, but they had like Pete Rose, like Throwback King had that Pete Rose jersey with just the 14 on the back, and really it's supposed to say Rose 14 on it, because that's how he wore it with the Phillies. His whole career with the Phillies, he had his name on the back. But for whatever reason, I guess they just couldn't get the licensing rights for whatever certain players, maybe certain teams. I know the Padres was another one. They just had the name and not the number and not the name stitched on the back. For whatever reason, this was done, and they did it mostly with baseball jerseys. So you'll notice a lot of the older baseball jerseys, like I said, depending on the team, will have just the number on the back, like the Pirates, the Phillies, the Mets, the Padres. I think there's a few others in there mixed in, but I don't know. They just didn't have the licensing rights or whatever at the time, but they still made the jerseys. And, people would just take the jerseys to get them customly, at EPS or whatever, have the name put on that. Long story short, okay, I already gave the long story, so shorten it up. Okay, don't keep don't keep dragging that on, right? Long story short, what this particular seller did, as the story goes in his auction, he had the name stitched onto the back. The jersey didn't come with the name on the back, which it shouldn't have. That's how Mitchell and Ness made this jersey back in the day, without the name on the back. So he basically just had the name stitched on there, and it wasn't done like professional, like an EPS or something. Had it been, it would have had the 20, like the Bonds with that gold outline, like the 24 is and like the Pittsburgh is in the front. It would have had that for the name, but I guess he just, took it to a generic place and they just had the name stitched on the back. Is it a huge deal to me? Not 100%. I mean, it would have been a little better had the name had the gold trim. I mean, maybe I can send this off to EPS someday and they can do it, but it's not a humongo deal to me. I mean, it's just basically like an extra on the jersey. I mean, the Mitchell, it's not really supposed to have the name on the back on the Mitchell Ness version, but You know, I can live with it. Like I said, it's just a little extra. You know, what can you do? But I got a real good deal on this. I mean, this was a buy it now, and it was also a best offer, and I gave a best offer for it, and the seller accepted it. It was a really good deal too. So I'm not going to complain about the name on the back too much. Just like I said, a little extra. No. But yeah. So that's the story of the name. Again, I know a lot of the people who are in the know with Mitchell & Ness jerseys will say, well, wait a minute, the Bonds isn't supposed to have his name. And it's true, but that's what the seller did, so what can you do? But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm trying to rehash it, but yeah, back in the day, Mitchell & Ness kind of did that with a lot of their baseball jerseys. You just had the numbers on the back, even though their name's supposed to be on the back, which was kind of interesting that they would do that, but you know, what can you do? I guess the demand was so much at that time because it was during the big, you know, the hip hop days of jerseys where they were making just a ton of them. So maybe they just kind of rushed those, but one will never know. But I guess in like the late '90s, early 2000s kind of era, mid 2000s era. But yes, needless to say, still a nice jersey. And it's got the Pittsburgh double stitched on the front. That font is just, I love that font. It's got the 24 double stitched. And yes, we've been over the name on the back, but it's single stitched, 24 double stitched. And it's got those yoke sleeves, and of course the trim going around the neck. And it's got the Pirates logo on the sleeve. It's a little creased because that's how it came in the bag. But there it is. And the Pirates logo. I remember that logo, by the way, back in the day when they used to do battle with my Phillies. Used to be a pretty good rivalry back in the day, the Phillies and the Pirates. Not so much anymore, but yes. So, you know how they always, you know, whenever you get a jersey on eBay, always, you know, fold it up and put it in the, you know, put it in the priority mail bag or whatever. So then you have to kind of decrease these jerseys when you get them in over time. But I've done a pretty good job with that over these years. So. The only thing about getting them on eBay, and I'm sure through the websites too, you know, I always just kind of fold them up and put them in those bags and stuff, but whatever. It is what it is. Okay, jersey number 1. Jersey number 2, and at some point I have to get one of those bumper stickers that say, I break the flea markets, because I really do. I'm a big flea market guy. It takes me back to my roots of collecting. It's something I enjoy. Yes, to all those young heads out there that are collecting, there was a time where you actually had to get out of your house to collect. You know, before eBay, you had to go to flea markets and yard sales and shows and conventions and all sorts of different stuff, a whole bunch of different, which they still have, obviously, and I enjoy going to them because, like I said, it takes me back to my roots of collecting. And every now and then, flea markets, you know, they're hit or miss. You never know what you're going to find. But, you know, I've been pretty fortunate over the years, and this was another find at a flea market. And you guys remember about a month or so ago, I picked up that powder blue 1980 Tug McGraw Phillies Mitchell & Ness jersey. And this past time, I was able to pick up a powder blue Mitchell & Ness, newer, made in China version, but the Mike Schmidt jersey. So I guess the next one I go to, I'll find the powder blue Steve Carlton jersey, right? I mean, it's just, you have to go with the set, right? But yes, 1980, it's the zipper front jersey, and there's actually been some talk about these zipper front powder blues, because the Phillies, yes, I know, Jay King, lost 2 of 3 to your Braves over the weekend, and both games they lost, they were wearing their throwback jerseys, the old Philadelphia Stars jerseys they wore on Saturday, and then they wore the powder blue Phillies jerseys on Sunday, and they lost both games. So they're 0 for 2 this year wearing throwback jerseys. It really hurts me. I'm a big throwback jersey head that I am. My favorite team wears them, and they can't win with them. But this really hurt me when they lost the games in the powder blues. You can't lose. Phillies, come on, you can't lose wearing these. Well, okay, they did back in the day, but, you know, now, they're a better team than they were in a good part of their history wearing these in the past. Of course, this was from 1980 when they won the World Series, but, But yeah, you guys know about this jersey. I mean, I have others in the collection. You know the specs of this jersey, but I'm going to talk about it anyhow. It's got the double stitch 20, it's got the double stitch P, the older P, and it's got the Schmidt on the nameplate, arched, double stitched, and the 20, of course, is double stitched. This is the fourth Mike Schmidt jersey in my collection, probably the last one. I don't know if I'll ever get the St. Patrick's Day green one, because I do have that for Tug of Raw, and, you know, that's all I really need. So if you're going to have one St. Patrick's Day Phillies jersey in your collection, it should be a Tug of Raw. But, so I got the 89 away gray, I've got the 79 home alternate maroon, and the home white pinstripe 19. It's technically a 1980, but I turned it into an 83 with the 100th anniversary patch I put on that one, and now I got the 1980 powder blue. So I think I'm good with Mike Schmidt. What do you guys think? I think I've cornered the market on Mike Schmidt jerseys. Although I will say this, there's a member on Jersey Central called Let the Kid Eat, and LDKE, if you're watching this, big shout out to you. He's a big Mets fan. But interestingly enough, he has all of the Mike Schmidt jerseys that Mitchell and Mets ever made. So it's his guilty pleasure, is Mike Schmidt jerseys. So yeah, Mike Schmidt Phillies jerseys for a big-time Mets fan. I mean, that's got to hurt. But he has them all. I mean, he has all of them, which is pretty interesting. Really, really good collector. I've told him in the past he should be here on YouTube making videos, but maybe someday he will. So come on, Let the Kid Eat. Let's go. You gotta get on here with the rest of us jersey heads. But at any rate, yeah, Mike Schmidt, 1980 powder blue. Been wanting this one for a while. Just, you know, never really pulled the trigger on it before at Mitchell & Ness or whatever for sale. So, and it worked out because I got it real cheap at a flea market. You never know. That's why you go. I should put that on a shirt. MightyFan. You never know. That's why you go. Flea market. But the trim, of course, on the sleeves and on the sides. Now, I was talking about this that the Phillies wore for the game yesterday, the Civil Rights game, and there's been a lot of talk about it because the Braves wore their jerseys circa the 1974-75 season, something like that, and the Phillies didn't match that. Because their powder blues are more from the 80s, and I say that because they were button down. They weren't zip-up. And, you know, in the 70s and early 80s, they were zip-ups. So there's been a lot of talk, particularly on Jersey Central, particularly from Phillies fans, who are saying, well, wait a minute, why didn't they just, you know, why couldn't Majestic, who made these jerseys, you know, for the Phillies and Braves, why couldn't they make the 1970s jerseys for the Phillies like they did the Braves and do the zip-up jerseys? And I couldn't tell you that. I really don't. It's kind of strange to me, too, but I don't know if they make any zip-up jerseys for any team, so maybe that's just the easy answer. They just did the buttons because that's how they generically do them. But the Braves did have the pullovers, which were, you know, pretty cool to see, even though they won the game. Roy Halladay, boy, he threw that gopher ball right down the middle for Dan Uggla. Boy, that's about the only pitch Dan Uggla's going to hit. I mean, he's probably one of the only players in baseball hitting less than the Phillies are right now. I mean, my goodness. Oh. Come on, Roy. But yes, as a shame as it was that they lost in these jerseys, they did wear these yesterday for the Civil Rights game. But without the zipper, they were buttoned up. You know, come on, Majestic. And the zippers are so nice. At any rate, but yes, being that as it is, this is the zipper up. This is the Mitchell & Ness version, and it is from 1980. Mike Schmidt, Michael Jack Schmidt, one of the great third basemen ever. So yes, those are the two most recent pickups. Hope you all enjoyed this video. A big shout out, as always, to all my fellow Jersey heads, all my subscribers, of course. A big shout out to all you guys. Thank you so much for subscribing. Keep hitting that subscribe button for me and the rest of my fellow Jersey heads. For my family and friends, a big shout out to you guys too. And I also want to make mention of, they're not a Philadelphia team, but my Bulls did win yesterday against the Heat. They're up 1-0 in the series. So did you see that dunk, by the way, of Gibson over Dwayne Wade? Oh, my. That was a bazooka dunk. That was two hands. That's going to need 2 posters to put that one on. Ooh, that's what Dwayne Wade gets, though. You know, he showed up my Sixers at the end of that series by dunking. He didn't have to. They were going to win anyhow. And then he goes and dunks. He got dunked on. I know he does that to a lot of people. So, look, I respect Dwayne Wade. I really do. But, oh, that was nice. I wouldn't want to be him in that moment. I mean, he got dunked on. He didn't just get dunked on. He got thrown down on. That was a two-handed right on them. Woo! So yes, the Bulls are up 1-0. We'll see what happens the rest of the series. But you know what? The Heat have not beaten the Bulls all year, so maybe the Bulls are in their head a little bit. Gotta think about that. Yeah. Alright, so that's the end of my exam. Peace. I'll see you next video. Bye.